tell them all the time, hey, come to me and give me your best ideas. Because none of you have made the mistakes that I've made. You can't kill the company. I tried, right? You can't do it, right? They told them, like, there's been times I came to the office just to cry, to go home and come back and do it again the next day. Just that staying in that habit of, hey, you have to go forward one step and one day at a time. It always works itself out.
Welcome to NGBi Lab, a podcast about innovators and disruptors who are creating the next generation of companies in Canadian life sciences. Hi, I'm Jim Wilson, and my guest today is Akeem Gardner, who is founder and CEO of Canurta Therapeutics. Based in Mississauga, Ontario, Canurta Therapeutics is pioneering the next generation of botanical drugs to address unmet needs in neurodegenerative diseases. Akeem has been instrumental in developing innovative solutions with a focus on ALS, aiming to transform it from a terminal to a chronic condition. With a strong background in law and a passion for biotechnology, Akeem's story is inspiring, and I appreciated him making the time to speak with me. This episode of NGBi Lab was recorded in July 2024. Akeem, welcome to NGBi Lab.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here, Jim. Really excited for our chat today.
Yeah, likewise. And we've had to reschedule a couple of times, so I appreciate your patience and your perseverance. Tell me about your company. What is Canurta all about?
Well, at Canurta Therapeutics, we are pioneering the next generation of botanical drugs. We take the most rarest molecules found in plants and put them together in combination or single small molecules to be able to target inflammation and address unmet needs in neurodegenerative diseases. So for us, we have a lead candidate, CNR 401, which we're hoping to get into the clinic to be able to help patients suffering from ALS, because in ALS, these patients have no other solutions. They are facing a rapid degeneration and mortality in on average 1,000 days. We want to help them improve their quality of life, help them manage their symptoms, also with the potential for being disease modifying, and help them live a much longer time than the 1,000 days that they're currently subjected to.
Thank you for that. I don't have a science background, so you're going to have to dumb this down for me. Where did the idea come from? And we're not talking about cannabis. It's much more complex than that.
Oh, it's way more broader than cannabis sativa or any one part of nature right now. But the idea did start with cannabis, and we were the lucky beneficiary of Canada's decision to legalize cannabis first. As a quick summary, when I graduated from law school in 2017 and I started to understand what was going on in legalization, I knew that there was going to be an opportunity for Canadian researchers to get their hand on the plants, to understand the individual components of the plant and what they can do to provide therapeutic help to both humans and animals.
What year was that?
2017.
Okay.
So right before we legalized in 2018. Now, researchers at the University of Guelph had a very similar idea, because they had been looking at the literature and saying, hey, where had stuff always come up before in the past, but no one had the ability to capitalize on, because again, cannabis sativa or industrial hemp was largely illegal. So in 2018, when Canada legalized, it allowed professors at Guelph to find me on my farm, gave them all the biomass that I could, for them to develop a production process to be able to extract extremely rare molecules found in the plant and under 0.014%. But the exciting thing,
this is out of the hemp plant at that point.
Out of the hemp plant at that point.
Okay.
Right? But the exciting thing is that these molecules that are found in the 0.014% of the biomass had 30 times the anti-inflammatory power of aspirin with a safer mechanism of action than aspirin. So you know how sometimes you get like stomach bleeding, or if you take too much aspirin, it becomes toxic? None of that. And a more potent anti-inflammatory. So with the timing of legalization and with the interest of these professors at Guelph, and then just me having the idea of, hey, there's something going on here, everything came together right at the opportune time for us to meet these professors, establish a research relationship, and then eventually when COVID happened, I was able to acquire said patent and then start my journey building Canurta in 2021.
So, I've got so many questions I want to pin down here. Let's start with your team. Who's on your team?
So we're a team of 10, and we're made up of, I have my Bachelor of Laws, we have master students, we have PhD postdoc researchers on our team. Everyone's doing their own unique job. But where we really specialize ourselves or differentiate ourselves is our world-class science advisory team. And our advisory board is led by a gentleman, Dr. Ethan Russo, whom I compassionately describe as the Michael Jordan of cannabis research. Explains who he is, right? Now, Dr. Russo, he was senior medical advisor to a company, GW Pharma. And GW is important because they're the only company with FDA-approved Epidiolex, a highly purified form of CBD approved by the FDA for treatment of Dravet syndrome, which is a rare form of childhood onset epilepsy. Dr. Russo oversaw not only those clinical trials, but also the Sativex clinical trials, Sativex being a spasticity medicine for people that suffer from multiple sclerosis and other areas of diseases as well. And he said, when he saw what we were doing up here with these professors at the University of Guelph with our innovative molecules, that he was going to teach us how to develop drugs. And he sort of took us under our wing. He's been helping our team grow and helping us build our science advisory team with other people who have CMC expertise, clinical operations expertise. We have a wide variety of researchers in Canadian universities working on this, ultimately putting together the right team to be able to win a championship, which in our sense, that championship is helping patients with these severe unmet medical needs live better lives.
So are you disrupting or innovating the status quo?
Probably a little bit of both. A little bit of both.
So how many discussions did you and your team have before this idea became a company? Like, could you walk me through that process?
Way too many pivots before we ultimately got to Canurta. But the ultimate deciding factor of all of our early iterations was when COVID-19 hit. We all remember it. Everyone was stuck inside. All the farming agricultural work, no one was doing it. Before, we were using hemp for green building and construction materials, but no one was doing any construction. The only thing that was alive in COVID was biotechnology, medicinal medicines. And remember in the earlier days, we all just kept on hearing about the cytokine storms and inflammation. So I was like, hey, those professors at Guelph, they have this super anti-inflammatory. There has to be something here that we can progress and move forward. And even though at the time I was extremely eager and, hey, we should use this as an anti-inflammatory for COVID, they're like, Akeem, not so fast. A lot of work to be done. We did agree that there was something here with this ingredient that would be able to be pandemic resilient, that would be able to be investable because we owned global patents on the ability to get to them. And at that moment, we realized that this is what we had to go all eggs in the basket on, because this is what we can build a company around. This is where we can have defensibility. And this is also where we can help the largest amounts of people, not knowing that we were going to end up doing ALS at that time, but we knew we had these super potent anti-inflammatories, and that story needed to be told.
So was there a specific eureka moment where you went, yeah, this is a company. Let's do this?
I don't know if it was one specific one for me. I think it was just a large amounts of pivots, turns, and just one step forward after the other, leading us here. When I graduated from law school, as an example, right, and I came back, I knew that there was an opportunity in that was going to come in legal cannabis. So I knew I wanted to get involved, but I never knew how or where I was going to end up. But one foot in front of the other, I kept on learning, investigating, putting myself in the right rooms with the right people. And I knew that if I started way back then, by year 2030, I would have an opportunity not only for people that looked like myself to participate in this industry, but I knew I could build something interesting. As we kept on going, we eventually morphed from having these ingredients and thinking that we were going to be an ingredient company to actually saying we need to be the biotechnology company. Actually, You're right. There was a moment. The difference in the moment is initially when we had these ingredients, we thought that we were going to be able to sell them to every other Canadian licensed producer. Hey, this is a rare molecule that you aren't getting from your plants and it can help a bunch of people. But the question everyone kept on asking me was, how do you know? Have you done the safety? Have you done the toxicology? Have you validated the efficacy? Yeah, those early results from 1980s look nice. Do you have 2020 results, 2021 results to validate that it's reproducible? When people kept on telling me that, I said, okay, let's go get the answers. And as I started to look at the answers, as I started to see how valuable these things could be, and then meeting people like Ethan who have done this before, I eventually realized we're not just an ingredient company. We can make these drugs our own. And if these are as valuable as we think we are, it doesn't make sense to be selling them to other people for pennies on the dollar. Let's do it ourselves, prove ourselves right, and then we get to build on all of our other ideas that we have thereafter.
That is so cool. Hi, it's Jim Wilson. You know, it is truly a privilege and so much fun to do this show and our other podcasts. I get to speak with members of Canada's life sciences community and learn about, well, what next great big ideas are on the horizon of the industry. If you'd like to become a sponsor of the NGBi podcasts, we will welcome your support. My contact information is at the end of today's show, and we appreciate your interest. Let's get back to our conversation. So how many other companies are in this pool? Is
Just
there a
one.
handful? Just one other?
Just one Canurta, right? Actually, I lied. When I originally came back and started farming, I started what's now our parent company, my holding company. So it's where me and my friends and family have our equity in Canurta. But Canurta is the main company that we're building out today. Now, we do have a sister company in the US for CPG sales and for other hemp ingredients that we'll bring to market. We do have another sister company in Australia for the purposes of R&D and research and development trials. But in essence, it's all Canurta and it's all Canurta Therapeutics. We're all working on the same.
So, sorry, CPG is what?
Consumer products goods, natural health products and foods.
So you've got family and a handful of other people who have invested in the company.
Yes, sir.
So were you bootstrapped from day one?
Yes. Yes, you were.
And are you profitable now?
No, still raising, still fighting the fight of every early stage biotechnology company who are years away from FDA approval.
Okay, so you are in the midst of seeking FDA approval, or that's something in future?
Well, it happened in the future. Right now, the stage that we are today is we have CNR 401, our lead asset, ready for production and ready for clinical evaluation in a phase 2 clinical trial. So in the early part of 2025, our goal is to engage the FDA as regulators to open up our IND and get our first trial started with our first 50 patients in ALS at Washington State University, the Gleason Institute for Neurological Studies.
You're based in Grimsby, correct?
Mississauga is our head office, but we're building a facility in Grimsby to be our headquarters where we do our manufacturing and production of these ingredients.
Okay, and when will that be finished? In 25?
In 25. Got to push forward and get it done.
There you go. And how many square feet is it?
It'll be 7,800.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's been your biggest win so far? My
biggest win? It's funny how you think about wins. Me and my fiance, we did this exercise the other day where she was helping me rewrite my CV. Tyra goes, okay, Akeem, let's start with how much money have you raised? You're a CEO. You've been doing a lot of stuff. How much have you raised? And I started to list all the sources of capital that we've gotten in. When we totaled it, we were over $10 million. I started with an $80,000 line of credit that I had myself to go to law school. So when you look back on it, I said, hey, where did that money come and go? When did I spend $10 million? It sure doesn't feel like it. But when you reflect on it, you're like, we have been doing a lot. We have been learning. We have been growing. Outside of that, the other biggest win that I have is when I go to our different conferences and I get to engage with patients, because most specifically the ALS patient community, I've gotten the most closest with them because we progressed the most with this asset. And these are really beautiful people. These are people who fight, who know what their current realities are, but they want to see a better tomorrow. And they become really inspirational for me, especially when you're going through the hard times as a founder. We like to think that our lives are hard. What's going to happen if I go bankrupt, et cetera, et cetera. But there are people out there with no other choice that are fighting and waking up every single day. So how hard do we have it? I feel not that hard when you actually think about it. And I feel really honored and appreciative to be able to work to serve these people. That's my second biggest win, I would say. Or that's probably the biggest, even over the money that we've raised. It's the impact that I see us having.
You know, the people that I've had the pleasure of sitting down with for this and our other podcasts, one of the common threads is humility and gratitude that they're in the position that you're in. And I share that because I get to sit down with these people and go, so tell me about yourself. Yeah. And it's such a privileged position. I appreciate you joining us today. So what has your entrepreneurial journey been like to date? Is it what you expected?
Can you imagine, like, who goes to law school, sees an opportunity, and is crazy enough to think that they can be part of it, crazy enough that they don't finish their crediting their degree and they don't go and article and be a lawyer? They spend the $80,000 line of credit that they had just paid off, that paid for their school, to rent a farm and go out and work 60 acres with their hands and feet. Who does that, right?
Wow.
I did it. And there are so many days when I was in those fields harvesting our hemp and being like, Akeem, like, who does this? All my friends that I went to school with are becoming lawyers. Look at me. What am I doing here? Right?
And you're a young guy, you know, if you don't mind my asking, like, you're in your 20s?
30.
Okay. Okay. You're no longer young. You're 30s over the hill. Like
30. I started this when I was 27, 34 today. So it's been a 7-year journey, but extremely rewarding, because outside of all the challenges that we faced and outside of whatever I was visible of, you know, when you can only like see the one step in front of you,
yeah,
everything else that happened after, though unexpected, right? Though sometimes challenging, though sometimes tears in my eyes. I hire a lot of students, and through the various summer job programs and grants that our government gives us. And I tell them all the time, hey, come to me and give me your best ideas, because none of you have made the mistakes that I've made. You can't kill the company. I tried, right? You can't do it, right? I told them, like, there's been times I came to the office just to cry, to go home and come back and do it again the next day. Just that staying in that habit of, hey, you have to go forward one step and one day at a time. It always works itself out.
So, yeah, you're an entrepreneur.
Learning to be, right? It makes it easy. It makes it, again, you're grateful, because today when I face challenges, it's like, how am I going to figure this out? But back then I was trying to figure it out, and I had no money, no patents, no proof of promise, everything. Now I have all these things that we built. There has to be a way to figure this out. So it's just really rewarding as you go on this journey, because for all the challenges, for all the pitfalls, for every misstep is a lesson learned and is another opportunity to build and reward yourself and your team as you go forward from here.
Wow. So you've got patents on everything that you're developing?
I wouldn't say we patented every single thing that we're developing. Some of them are still trade secret. Some of them we're still gathering data to file more patents, but we do have a pretty good and well-developed patent strategy. It's one of the beauties of being a law school graduate, because this is where I get to add my value to the team in our governance, in reviewing and re-reviewing things, and understanding that traditionally pharmaceutical companies, they want single molecules that they can get NCE patents on. We're not going to have that. So how do I get creative enough to give them what they want, to protect our CMC, to protect our compositions and our methods of use, to protect our trademarks and our organization names, and also the platform that we're building all this on. So we have, if I can just break it down into 3 patent families, We have a series of production patents. We have a series of therapeutic use patents. And then we also have a AI machine learning algorithm that can help us optimize not only our extracts, but also some of our single molecules, making them semi-synthetic and much more similar to the NCEs that pharma would traditionally want. The challenge is you can't do all that all at once. So we have to pick one and stick in our lane, but we can still build for the future at the same time.
So is this a company that you're setting up to eventually sell, or is this something that you see yourself doing for a very, very long time?
Amazing question. As I described this, when I first started, I had no clue that today I would be the CEO of a biotechnology company. Again, I was supposed to be a lawyer. Me and my team, we've met every challenge that has been put in front of us, and we've continued to learn, evolve, adapt, and grow. So I don't see any limits on what we can do. With that being said, we also know, and we're humble enough to say, that I know that I might not be the best CEO for a company when we reach a certain stage. There might be someone who's better than me. I know that we don't necessarily have, for example, commercial experience in selling drugs on the market today. It may be a better partner or maybe someone to acquire an asset to do that to benefit the patients. I think with everything even, we have the opportunity to grow into a really incredible company. What we're going to look like 10 to 15 years from now, I'm not quite sure how we're going to get there, but we're going to try.
So what are you going to look like in 2 or 3 years?
2 and 3 years are much easier. Over the next 2 years, we're getting CNR 401 into the clinic. We're going to initiate clinical trials in Canada, USA, Australia, the United Kingdom, and maybe more as we continue to go. Because ALS is an orphan indication, with the right trial design and with the right effect size and hitting your right milestones, you can get products to market sooner than most drug development pathways because of the urgent need. So over the next 2 to 3 years, this is our focus. How do we change what it means to live life with ALS, turning it from a terminal disease to hopefully a chronic disease, instead of dying in 3.5 years, to be able to live 10, 20, 30, or even more with the illness, and giving these patients enough time for someone else to come and hopefully find a cure that can reverse it. Because now we made ALS livable and we've helped these patients and their families enjoy one more day with one another.
Hi, it's Jim. We have a small favor to ask. If you like what we're doing, and we hope you do, please tell your friends about us on social. You can use the hashtags NGBi and NGBi podcasts. And don't forget to follow us so you don't miss any future episodes. Thanks so much. We appreciate your support. So, what do you need to get there?
Money?
Okay. How much money? I'm hoping that there's people listening with wallets and checkbooks.
I say money and I'm half joking, but I'm half serious. The reason why I say that is because from the first day I stepped on the farm, I thought I needed $5 million. I thought. And I never got the $5 million in the way I thought I needed it. And we've been able to build 7 years forward. But with that being said, we are on the other side of doing clinical trials. And as scrappy, as resilient, and as bootstrapping that we've been, clinical trials are a different game and they do have their costs. I can't get around it. So what we need Canadian investors to step up and be willing to help our early stage companies, not just us, because I have a bunch of peers that are building some really incredible things. And we need our investors to step up to help. One of the challenges that we had, but it's also to our benefit, is that we're coming out of the shadows of cannabis 1.0, where a bunch of companies went public, making a bunch of promises to people, and a lot of money was lost in our markets. I can't tell you how many times when I told people, hey, what I'm doing is not CBD. Then I give them my presentation, and then they say, but you're just another CBD. It happened all the times over the last 5 to 6, 7 years. So what we need is people to have an open mind, to know that there's a pathway here, to listen to the story, but more so than listening to the story, the proof is in the pudding. Look at our data, look at our information on our roadmap, and then judge. is this worth the risk? Given what can happen on the other side of success.
Thank you for that. Uh, is there any advice you would give any listeners who are thinking about going down a similar path? Like if you could turn the clock back 7-8 years and go, yeah, okay, now that I know what I know, this is what I'd change.
Well, two pieces of advice. One, I kind of touched on and alluded to. As an entrepreneur, you just have to put one step forward and continue to go, knowing that what you're doing is worth it. There's a bunch of times when I questioned, like, if I was meant to do this, am I dumb? So I can guess all these emotions, things happen because we're all human, right? But when you have a deeper why and you know that you're meant for the journey you're on, one step forward. Again, sometimes it's just staying in the habit of coming to the office. Even if I came to the office to cry, go home, regroup, come back tomorrow, because usually the next day or the day after that, the breakthrough that I was looking for that I couldn't see comes to me. So you always have to keep that in mind. The second thing I'll say, and I'm learning this much more today versus yesterday, trust in your own instincts. As you're building, there's going to be a lot of people that will come to you and say, hey, we'll write your business plan for you. Pay us as a consultant. We'll go raise money for you. We'll X, Y, and Z for you. I've spent a bunch of money listening to all these things in different phases of my growth. It's never worked out. So now when people reach out to me, it's okay. We do it all in-house. I would rather find a team of people around me that are like-minded and who are willing to put in the work to grow. I would rather us make our own mistakes and not be perfect, because we're going to learn our lesson and we're going to get better as we continue to grow from here. I'm not saying don't use consultants, but I'm saying be very wary of how you're spending your dollars, because as an early stage founder, those dollars are scarce. And the more you can teach yourself, the better off you're going to be years from now.
That's good advice. Thank you. I just got a couple of things. You mentioned earlier that you're a team of 10 at the moment, and you've got a new facility under construction that'll be finished shortly. Are you about to be hiring? Like if there's some people in university that are just finishing off their degrees and looking for a job, should they be calling you?
Not me, Samantha. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Good handoff.
Yeah. But yes, we do a lot of hiring out of the master's programs at the various universities. I'm really, really lucky to be building in Canada. Some of our counterparts in the States are like, Akeem, how are you doing all of this? And I'm like, it's because we get the support of the BioTalent Canadas, the Canada's Summer Jobs, the Eco Talent Canadas, NRC IRAPs. And those are really, really helpful when it comes to hiring new students, working with them for a period of time, and then saying, okay, I can't lose you. We have to grow so I can keep you and keep your job here. So we've been doing that ever since day one. It's taught me how to be a manager, and it's taught me how to be a boss by having responsibility over people. And as our facility is done, we'll grow from 10 to 18, and then we'll grow much more from there. Over the next 5 years, I see us adding, I think it's 25 jobs, permanent jobs that we'll add to our team as we continue to gain more traction on not only CNR 401, but some of our other assets in our program for things like inflammation, breast cancer metastasis, so on and so forth like that.
You are on such a cool trajectory. And we met at was it the Bio conference last year?
Yes.
And for those who have not been to that conference, absolutely worth the time. And the team at Obio and more than ably led by Maura Campbell are doing so much great work. Could not speak more highly of them. And bonus for me attending last year was meeting you. And thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you for having me. The people at Obio do such a great job. I'll also give a shout out to NGBi Biosciences and Life Sciences Ontario.
Yeah.
Because like you said, at all these events, they bring us together, and Canada's doing a really, really good job punching above our weight, right?
Yeah.
We have a lot of people that are on good trajectories, and all these organizations, whether they're government funded, whether they're clusters like Obio, Life Science Ontario, NGBi, They put us in the rooms. They allow us to connect for things like this to happen years later. So, Jim, thank you so much for allowing me to sit beside you at the event, for engaging me in our conversation, because look where we are now.
And I look forward to seeing the path and the announcements as you go forward. What you're doing is really cool. So thanks so much again.
Thank you very much.
That was Akeem Gardner, founder and CEO of Canurta Therapeutics. For more information about the work he and his team are doing, please go to canurta.com. That's CANURTA. You can also follow the company on social at @WithCanurta. This podcast was produced by Xenia Pinto. If you'd like to follow us on social, we are at NGBi Podcasts, and you can also follow me at Lab Occupier. If you'd like to become a supporter of the NGBi podcasts and or the NGBi Summit, please send us an email. My address is jwilson@leonard, that's LENNARD.com. Thanks so much for listening. See you next time.